Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing some Drytron test hands. I'm going to be doing just a lot of test hands through Droll, assuming my opponent opens Droll, just testing mainly for myself, but also just to, I guess, put out there what the deck can do through some interruptions. Obviously Droll is one of the biggest and it's going to be quite prevalent this format. So I'll do a very quick updated Drytron list. This is what I've been playing recently. Want to get into some dueling book as well and just have a go at on the ladder with Drytrons. This is what I've been playing at locals as well. So I'll do a quick updated list and then I'll get into some test hands where my opponent always opens Droll, and we'll just see what kind of things the deck can accomplish. All right, to start off with, obviously the Drytron names, running 3 Alpha, 3 Zeta, and I'm running 3 Gamma. Opening Gamma feels really good, especially when they draw you, because you can get extra bodies on board. Gamma gives you 2 bodies, which is awesome. And I'm running 2 Delta. Sometimes I would side 1 Delta out, depending. But yeah, 3 Gamma is really, really good. It means you can use your Mu Beta Send for something else, like the Ritual Monster, which I'm loving recently. This Ritual Monster is just coming up a lot, especially, again, in those hands where you do get trolled. If you can get to that Ritual Monster, it feels really good. 3 Diviner, this is for the Fairy package. 3 Herald, and 2 Eva, it's fairly standard. So that's the Fairies and the Drytrons. For the Ritual Monsters, I'm playing just 4. Playing the Drytron Ritual, Herald of Ultimateness, 1 Ben 10 and 1 Eda 10. This is also fairly standard. I'm not playing Natasha. There was actually a very short window just before the ban list came into effect yesterday where I wasn't playing Draconids, but since putting it in and doing some testing through Droll, it just comes up all the time. And I'm also prioritizing it as the turn 3 play, so going into my second turn where I'm trying to push for the kill. The Draconids comes up quite a bit and it puts extra damage on board, which means your access code, because sometimes access code falls short. 53 plus 2000 from a Herald is not lethal, so putting some extra damage on board through something like Draconids is really strong. Going into the spells, Nova's very standard. Emergency is also very standard. 1 of the Ritual spell and 1 Called by the Grave. Only playing 1 Ritual spell. I know some people are playing 2. It hasn't come up where someone's DD crowed yet. I'm sure it will, but playing other cards as well that potentially, if I see them, can also stop the banish effect. So just those spells. No field spell. It just puts you into Droll very early, and so does something like Preparation of Rites. For the hand traps, I'm playing Bell. I'm really liking Bell. This format, it's really strong. It also stops the banish effects like DD Crow and Cycle Reader, which is awesome. And I'm also playing 3 Imperm. I like that Imperm can be drawn as a 6th card, which is good. And then my last 3 cards, I'm playing a 40 card deck, it's probably pretty silly. I've been testing it and it's kind of working out surprisingly decently, is Drag Down into the Grave. This is another answer to hand traps, especially going first. Going second, it obviously is not very good, but going, because your opponent would already have made a board, but going first, it's really interesting because you can hit hand traps. At my locals in particular, lots of people are maining, or there's definitely a few people that are maining Droll, so having something like Drag Down to the Grave is not bad. It's just very interesting. And also we have, as far as our cards, pretty much all of our cards want to be in the graveyard or have no issue being in the graveyard, except maybe when you hard open something like Ben 10, that's going to get quickly dragged down by your opponent. They're going to choose that. But otherwise, most of our cards want to be in the graveyard or can be set. And obviously Emergency and Nova, which are our 2 big spells, are not quick plays. They're just normal spells, so we can set them and activate them. So there hasn't really been too much of a downside to drag down. And then because the deck has just so many Drytron names, it can also help draw into cards. I've drawn into Nova a few times, which is great. Drawing into a Drytron name is great. So it's just really interesting. I've been play testing it just as a joke originally, but I don't know, it's kind of working out. The extra deck, I'm not sold on the ratio. I think it's fairly standard at the moment, but 2 Mu Beta, the 2 Mu Beta definitely comes up. Definitely essential to have 2. I originally was thinking maybe 1 would be fine, but no, 2 is a must. Beatrice is standard, Zeus is standard. I'm playing Downed and Lyrilusk. These are the 2 cards that I'm just still not sold on. I can see where Lyrilusk comes up. I just feel like they take up 2 slots that potentially could go to other things, but I don't know. I'm leaving them for now. I'm just going to do more testing and we'll see. These are my main Diviner targets, Herald and Entis. And then for the links, with Access Code, Unicorn, Cerberus, Phoenix. I like having both Cerberus and Phoenix. Cerberus is quite good. And then IP, Liner, and Link Haribo. I'm also really liking Line the Light Charmer. Not really for its summon from your opponent's graveyard effect, although it definitely can come up. But no, I'm enjoying it a lot more just because if you have an extra body, it can just sit on the field, and if your opponent outs it, you get to add a light, and that's pretty much your whole deck. You can add a light with 1500 or less defense, which is any of the Fairy package, Diviner, Herald, Eva. Also adds any Drytron name, so it's just very flexible, I think, and I've cut Appaloosa for that, which I haven't really missed too much yet. But otherwise, maybe Appaloosa will go in over something like the Lyrilusk or the Downer Magician, one of the 2, but yet to wait and see. For the side deck, at the moment I'm playing 3 Droll, 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Twin, 1 Cosmic, 1 Harpies, 1 Red Reboot, so 6 cards for back row, and trying out 3 A Pointer of the Red Lotus, just as a going first side option. That plus drag down into the grave gives you a lot of hand knowledge over what your opponent's playing. Obviously, you know what they're playing if you're siding this in, but it gives you a lot of hand knowledge about what they've got, especially once they've gone post-side, where they're going to be drawing into cards like Dark Ruler or Forbidden Droplets or Droll and Lock or Cycle Reader, those cards that you want to try and preemptively hit. So obviously drag down can preemptively hit them, and then a pointer hits some of those bigger names like Forbidden Drop. Well, actually no, it doesn't hit Forbidden Droplets because they can just chain it, but definitely something like Dark Ruler or just a play starter is another great thing. But that's the deck that I'm currently working with, and now we'll get into some testing. All right, so just giving the deck a quick shuffle. Here's our Droll here. I'll flip it over when it's in effect. Obviously, if we can snipe it out of hand with something like Drag Down, that's fair. Herald and Eva can negate it, and then otherwise, most of the time, we're going to have to just play into it, and we'll just play against Droll and see what happens. I'm also not going to be, I'm going to assume, I'm going to pretend for the sake of this that I don't know that they have the Droll, and so I'm not going to be kind of playing suboptimally, if that makes sense, just because I know that Droll's going to get dropped. So we'll see how we go. So for our first hand, okay, now with this hand we are going to get Drolled. There's not a lot we can do about it. If the Eva was the orange light, we could obviously search the Ben 10 and it would change things up a little bit, but this is what we're going to start with. Fire off the Nova first. So the ritual spell is really important. So we'll get Zeta out because I've already got Alpha in hand. And we'll use Alpha now, tribute the Zeta, summon out, and that's going to grab our Ben 10. course, this is where our opponent is going to draw us, and we will have to see what we can do. Okay, well, the XEs is obviously going to be our priority here, so we will use Zeta. Trip the Ben 10, summon out. Obviously, we're not going to be able to search the ritual spell, but we can. All right, now my thinking here, making a 3 material Mubeta would be awesome if we had access to both the ritual spell and the XEs, the ritual monster for Drytrons, but we're not going to get there. So we'll turn these into a Mubeta. I think in this hand it's not going to be very fantastic, it's not going to be very flashy. Sending a spell here isn't really going to do anything for us, because we can only ritual summon out Ben 10, which really doesn't benefit us. We've got no way of putting extra bodies on board through that, so our most logical choice here would be the Gamma, because this is at least going to put another body on the board, or 2 bodies on board, because we're going to use it with the Alpha in hand. So we'll use the Gamma, attributing the Alpha in hand to summon itself, as well as the Alpha. Okay. So it's not going to be very nice, but we can link it to something like an IP, which will at least give us some interaction. We can also normal summon the Eva. Yeah, so we'll normal summon the Eva just because we can use it and Mubeta to make something like the liner. Actually, no, that's not, no, we won't do that. We won't do that at all, that's silly. We'll just leave it on, we'll actually normal summon it, and no, we'll keep it in hand. It'll be our discard for Unicorn, and we'll probably just leave it here. So going into our opponent's turn, obviously we've just got IP into Unicorn. We can discard the Eva, which we'll have to banish the Ben 10. And we would search the Diviner here, because we can't really do anything with the Herald in that instance. So we'll have to search Diviner, and we just cross our fingers that we don't die. Obviously we can bell something. So hypothetically, we've Unicorn and belled, search Diviner as a little bit of follow-up. Hope we don't die, but not very good for that first one. All right, this is test hand number 2. Now, this was actually test hand number 5, but for some reason my camera just stopped recording, and I was right in the middle of this test hand, which was looking really interesting. I know the hand at the moment doesn't look too fascinating, too good, but I wanted to play it back because I wanted to see where this would go, and I was really annoyed that my camera just stopped recording. So from here, I'll show you, this was the hand I drew. Now, this gives us a way to just remove the Droll out of the picture. Now, in this hand, obviously, we don't have any of our power cards to set, so we are at the mercy of our opponent. So the first thing we would do is activate the drag down into the grave. Obviously, we get to see their hand, we see what they're playing, we see what they've got. Hypothetically, they've only got Droll, so we're going to take the Droll out of their hand and get rid of it, and they're going to take the Diviner because that's our best card that we've got in our hand. And in this instance, we are relying very heavily on what we draw, because if we don't draw something good, then we are in a lot of trouble. But our deck does have a lot of good cards, and I already know that we're drawing an emergency because that's what I was drawing before my camera cut out. So I've rigged it just to make sure I draw the emergency again, just because I thought it was really interesting. I wanted you to see where this kind of ended up going. So from here, we will emergency, and we'll use emergency to grab Alpha. We will tribute Gamma to summon Alpha. Obviously, we know what our opponent has. We know there's no hand traps now. I don't know why half these cards are upside down. That's really irking me. Jeez, there's a lot of cards. Okay, so Alpha is grabbing Benton. Far out. All right. Okay, from here, we obviously want to benefit from Gamma. That's obviously our next play. So we will tribute the Alpha. Not tribute, sorry. We're going to link for Link Karibo, just so we can get the extra body. And then we're going to tribute the Ben 10 for Gamma. Bring it back, bring out the Alpha, and the Ben 10 is going to search our Diviner. So even though obviously we got hit by the drag down and lost Diviner, doesn't matter in this instance. So from here we can overlay our 2 into Mu Beta, and we're going to use Mu Beta to dump Zeta to the grave. I did think about dumping something like the Ritual spell, which obviously is the next best thing, or searching the Ritual spell off Diviner, but I forgot that we can obviously just use Diviner, send Herald, search Eda 10, and we now have a target for Zeta in our hand. So we can tribute the Eda 10 because it doesn't care where it is, and Zeta will summon and grab out our Meteorness. Now we know what our opponent has in their hand from here. Obviously, if they had any other hand traps, they probably would have used it by now. But hypothetically, in this instance, obviously, just be mindful of when you can force a drag down into the grave if you know there's something else that you want to hit, like a potential starter card that's going to really mess them up. Because in this instance, for example, I could set the Meteorness, use drag down, discard Eva, and that's going to give me my Herald Diviner combo here. So I can obviously banish these two to search Orange Light and Herald Diviner. But I'm not going to do that in this case because I'm going to hold my Eva as a disruption, potentially. Although I might want to use it, we'll see. Because I might, actually will Beatrice, so we probably will use it. But from here, let's Meteorness, take a material off, move Beta, and summon back Eda 10. Eda 10 is going to put the Ritual spell back into our hand, and we have access now to our Beatrice. And okay, so I'm just thinking now, obviously we need to get access to Herald of Ultimateness. Now we can the way it's going to be better for us though, to access Ultimateness here, and what we'll do is we will detach the from Beatrice. We're going to send Delta. So again, because there's another Drytron name in grave, we can fire off the Meteorness, take our last material off Alpha, off Mu Beta, and summon out Benton. Target Mu Beta, get our Ritual spell back. Delta, tribute Benton, summon back. Delta is going to, obviously we're going to reveal Ritual spell, draw a card. Another drag down, there we go. Ben 10 triggers to grab Herald. And we can fire that off, get rid of one of our Drytron names, bring out Herald, and that's now in grave. Delta and Mu Beta. Mu Beta can become IP. And then here, because we're going to be using Beatrice to get Eva on our opponent's turn, just to, I guess, get some more fairies, because we're not going to be able to get Eva on our turn. This is where we can use the drag down, so we'll set this one because we don't want them to hit it, and we're going to force them to hit the Eva in our hand. Eva will banish Diviner and Herald of the Arclight, and search Herald and Diviner. And then going into our opponent's turn, obviously we can use Beatrice to send our other Eva. And we're only going to be able to Eva for one because, I don't know, we've got our two, no, we've got to add with different names. So yeah, we're only going to be able to Eva for one there because we've only got the 2 orange lights left. So we can just use Eva, banish the other Eva, grab out an orange light, and end it there. So 3 hard negations. We've set that as a bluff. Our opponent thinks it's worthwhile because we wanted to save it. Could be something good. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Just want to play it back. All right, shuffling up for test set number 3. This will probably be the last one. Like I said, I think I did 3 or 4 more that just got wiped by the camera. So I'll just do this last one. I'll see how we go. Delta, Eva, Zeta, Zeta, and Imperm. Interesting. All right, so we will ditch the Zeta first to summon the Delta first to summon Zeta. Grab Ritual Spell. And this is nice because we get access to the Ritual Spell before getting Drolled. Now that was the optimal first play there anyway, so this works. And actually we can do something really interesting with this hand here, which is really cool. So we'll use Delta next, tribute the Zeta that's in our hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a move beta with 3 materials because it is 2 plus level 1 monsters. So I'm going to normal summon the Eva, and I'm going to use all 3 now to ritual summon move beta. Now this is how we can access the ritual monster plus the Xyz. Obviously the Xyz has a spell trap negation if it has material while you control a machine ritual. So its effect on summon is going to send Draconids. Obviously, sorry, we're under Droll here. And then we can obviously fire off the ritual spell, take off our 2 materials to summon out Draconids. We can reduce the attack of move beta to add this back to our hand. And we can pass turn, we'll set the imperm, and pass turn there. So through Droll, obviously we didn't really have many other plays if we didn't get Drolled. But obviously through Droll there, we have our imperm, we have Draconids, which can banish 2 to send 2 cards our opponent controls, probably banishing the 2 Zeta here, because Delta is still useful. The Zetas obviously lose their value once you've got access to the ritual spell, so we probably banish the 2 Zetas to send 2, and move beta is a spell trap negation and destruction. We don't get any benefit out of detaching the Eva because we've got no other fairies, but still, that's 2 sends, or 1 send for 2 cards, an imperm, and a spell trap negation under Droll, which is not bad at all. All right, we'll do one last one. All right, we've got Alpha, Drag Down, Imperm, Ben 10, and Nova. So in a hand like this, this is going to play around Droll really easily. We're just going to set these 2. We don't want our opponent to know what they've got. We're obviously going to activate the Drag Down. They're going to choose the Ben 10 here because they'll think that obviously we have no plays after discarding the Ben 10. And then we obviously take out the Droll, and then we've just got Alpha, Nova, and we proceed to do really well there. So we can still perform combos. It will be slightly different because obviously we lose the Ben 10, and that's where that was one hand where Drag Down can potentially hurt. but having access to Nova there was really good. And being able to set and activate it is really nice too. That was only quick, so we'll just do a couple more quick hands. Okay, we'll play this one out, and this will be the last one. So drawing Diviner is really nice under Droll as well. It's just another access to your fairies. Obviously we can use it to become level 6, should we need that, but also it can just send fairies. So sometimes you can use it to send Eva. I'm not going to be doing that in this hand because we're going to be under Droll, but just in general, Diviner has a lot more versatility than something like Manju, because you can send other fairies. Any of our ritual monsters that need to be in the grave, we can send them. But what we'll do here is we'll start off with our Alpha Zeta. And grab Ben 10. And get Drolled. So now what we're going to try and do is obviously just put some bodies on field. Now we can still access Beatrice with this hand. Beatrice gives us some plays too, so we probably won't use the Diviner to send one of our rituals. We'll use Diviner to become 6, use it with Ben 10 to make Beatrice. So we'll tribute the Ben 10 for Zeta. Obviously we don't get to add. Overlay for Mu Beta. The ritual spell is super important here. Ooh, are we going to be able to use the ritual spell enough is the question. I don't think we... No, we're not. Okay, so this might be a bit different. Okay, so we normal summon the Diviner next. Now, if Diviner sends Editon, comes level 8, we can obviously add back the Medionus, make Editon, it's just another body. And then we get the Medionus back, we can summon out Ben 10, make Beatrice, but we can't use the ritual spell again because we didn't search it. So we cannot rely, we're not going to be able to get out. We can get Beatrice, but we're not going to be able to get to Herald. Yeah, we can't get to Beatrice and Herald. We can get to one or the other. So what we'll do is we will use Diviner to send the Editon, just because it will be another body, and Beatrice is still really strong, being able to send Drytron names. It can send anything, so sending Editon here is great. We'll target Fafnir with ritual spell, activate ritual spell, take off one of its materials, summon out Editon, and grab back Medionus. We can fire that off again, take off our last material from Mu Beta, summon out Benton. We can't use our ritual spell anymore, but we can overlay our 2 6s for Beatrice. Beatrice can detach. Could send Gamma here. Now we don't really benefit from sending anything else at this stage. We're going to send Eva in our opponent's turn to just give us another disruption. This is probably where having Appaloosa would be nice, because it gives us some disruptions. It's hands like this where the Appaloosa would come up a bit better. But we'll use Gamma. We'll tribute the Delta out of hand, summoning itself plus a Drytron name. And now we're just going to consolidate into some monsters. So we haven't used Delta, but we there's no reason to. And we can't, it's not an extra body in this case, it would just be replacing. So we can go move beta and gamma into our IP, and then zeta and diviner can go into liner. And we would just pass turn there. And then going into our opponent's turn, we can use the Beatrice. Beatrice will send Eva, and this will just give us something. So we're sending the Eva, we obviously banish out the Diviner, and then we choose between Ben 10 and Eda 10. It's the Ben 10 that will banish. Grab Herald Diviner. So then in our opponent's turn, still got some things that we obviously have disruption. We've got one hard monster negate there. IP plus Beatrice gets us to Unicorn, discarding the emergency to spin something. And then if the board then gets outed, obviously we can search off liner and pray that we don't die. But yeah, that will do it for this one, for our last test stand. And I hope this has been helpful, if not just seeing different lines of play that you can potentially do. Yeah, otherwise, thank you for watching.